Chapter 3. Let me tell you about my first 7 days. It's like I'm living inside one of those Sunday afternoons, old movie musicals you don't mean to keep watching. But it's all so bright, so joyous, you can't look away. Even when it rains, which it does a lot. There are no grey skies here, not to me. Sometimes when I'm wandering through Midtown, I stop in the middle of the street just for a second to look at the Chrysler building, glittering skyward from her perch on Lexington Avenue. I think she's beautiful the way an old time beauty queen is beautiful, all silver sparkles and sash and crown. I always wave to her subtly, though I don't think anyone notices. And then I get going across the street so I don't get run over by a crosstown bus or a honking yellow cab. I know about crosstown now. I know about uptown and downtown and the way Broadway rambles around like a river. I know about boroughs and blocks. I know which side of the pavement to stick to. I'm not even afraid of those cellar doors anymore, the ones that lead down to basements filled with flowers and fruits and every other imaginable thing. It's as if the girl who arrived a week ago has lived a year in this city. That's how much things make sense already, in a way. Those small towns from my childhood never do. There are so many places I have yet to see, whole new maps I'm making, but for now it is enough to wave at the Chrysler building and walk block after block, taking pictures of every new thing I encounter. I love looking at the city through a camera lens. It changes everything when you're a real observer instead of the observed. This must be something my father understood, and Mr. Jackson too. The calm control you feel when you wind focus click. Perhaps things would have been different for my mother. Perhaps things would have been different for me if she'd been on the side of the camera too. I do wish, when I let myself think about her, that I could show her what I've captured of this city she loved and left too soon. I don't know if the pictures I've taken are any good. Mind you, the old Alicia is not like any camera I've used before, and I'm still learning how to hold it, how to move the focus lever with my thumb and keep the small body steady with my other hand. The viewfinder is tiny. At first, I couldn't see anything through the small window, but after a week, I think I'm getting the hang of it. It's like learning to see a whole different way. When you adjust the aperture, narrow the opening of the lens, background optics come into focus, kind of like you're pulling the world into you, bringing it closer. Nothing seems so far away anymore. I should thank Noah mostly. I do thank Noah every night before I fall asleep because now that my first 7 days are up, he's letting me stay on rent free at his apartment, a brownstone. I know this term now too until I get a job and can pay my own way. That's how he put it when he made his offer over coffee and fresh bagels. Partway through the first week, I told him right then that there and then I didn't want to be a charity case, but I had already fallen in love with my bedroom and the piano and the barreled bay windows. What do you call these windows anyway? I asked him, peering down into the street. I knew I would miss the wet leather of Franklin's nose, the constant pressure of it against my hand. Besides, it was clear from the beginning that Noah would be easy to live with. He liked my questions about where to go and what to see in the city, and he didn't ask too many questions of his own, though I did share a little bit about my life with him over that breakfast. Don't want to rely on you, I said, not after what I've been through, but I would really, really like to stay here. This is our solution. We'll keep a ledger on the fridge door and tally of my days here. Noel makes a new mark every morning, a quick flick of black ink on a white sheet of paper, so we have a record of what I will need to pay him back someday. As the days turn into weeks, those blank marks will spread across and down the page, but I never do get around to adding them up at the beginning of things. I just sort of see them as the sum of my survival, if I can make it there. You know how many songs there are about New York. When you live here, it's like the streets serenade you. Remember when I said I would not squander my independence if you knew what came before, not even the stuff I told Noah, but the stuff before and before and before that. Well, you'd understand why it's a place, not a person. I have given my heart to this time around. I mean, can you imagine that a place can feel like a person, that a place can comfort you and sing to you and surprise you, a place where simply stepping up out of the subway into the street can give you the fizzy under the skin sensation you get right before you kiss someone. When I told Noah about this, when I said it was almost as if I'd fallen in love with New York, he smiled funny and called me Baby Joan, and I still don't know what that means. Truthfully, he says lots of things I don't understand. The point for now is this: I'm happy. Whenever my worried feelings creep back in, I just head outside, no matter the hour, and I roam the streets and avenues and river paths until I shake the worry off. And this Noah bought me a pair of sneakers. I came home from a long walk on day 5, and there they were in a box in the bed. The price scratch offs are only the 0.97 cents part. The sticker remained purple, thick soled, smelled of rubber and dye, and so much newness. It was like sliding my feet into the future, into all the possibility ahead of me. That's what I felt, and I may have cried a little, but I didn't tell Noel that or say thank you out loud because I can already tell you he wouldn't like this kind of thing. I just wrote an IOU from the post-it pad in the kitchen, sticking the word sneakers on the refrigerator door and accelerator of days. It is strange to think that only a week ago everything I had was counting down to nothing, from my depleting cash to the single roll of black and white film in my Alicia to my thin sole shoes. My life was about subtraction and holding on to whatever was left over. Now the calculations have changed. Life has spun me around, filled me up, and I'm dizzy with happiness. I'm living in a stranger's apartment in a strange city. Thanks to both, I feel like I just might make it here. Noah with his ledger and his gift of new shoes, knowing that without that all all that walking around hurts my feet, and New York itself baptizing me with its spring rain, washing us both clean. This new old city of mine, where if you look left, right, up the view change before your eyes of all the patterns. I already prefer the perfect lines the avenues make. The narrowing of distance is something you can see and understand. When I ventured further south yesterday, one street wound into another right under my feet, with no warning at all, so that just a little view to the left, and I was lost for the first time. I missed the center uptown avenues, the arms wide open of Columbus and Amsterdam, so I caught the one train home. When I'm out there exploring, I see so many workers whizzing past me in their white sneakers and power suits, the quick legs and stiff arms of people in a hurry. I do not like the way they never stop and look back. They never look left, right, up to the city from a different angle. Watching these people go by each day, I vow that when I get to their age, I will never wear a restrictive pencil skirt with sneakers. I will not stride along too fast for my surroundings. I will learn to walk slowly and gracefully in pretty high heels, or maybe stay comfortable in my sneakers, roaming the avenues, avoiding pencil skirts altogether. The first 7 days, I still think this is something I would get to decide. Just a few streets over from Noah's apartment. Ruby can barely get out of bed. It is as if the moment has stopped needing to be somewhere. Work, run through the friends, her twice weekly PT sessions. The weight of her sadness piled down on her made her limbs and eyelids heavy. While I was capsizing around Manhattan, peering through my lens at the world, she remained stuck in her room, staring at the concrete ceiling, hour after hour sliding past her from this prone position. She had plenty of time to ponder her plight. Is this a midlife crisis, come early, extreme fatigue, situational depression, or is it simply what it feels like to be absent of hope, hollowed out? You have to get to the worst thing eventually. Someone once told her that a friend reasoning their way out of a run of bad luck. At the time, they meant it as a self-comfort, assuming there had to be a limit to their trials. Things could only get so bad before life turned around again. But now blankets pulled up to her chin, the sound of the Upper West Side clanging outside her window. Ruby wonders if she heard the sentence wrong. Maybe her friend was really saying you can only outrun your sadness for so long. It will catch up to you eventually. Back in Melbourne, she had been living in a kind of emotional stasis, avoiding feeling sorry for herself but never really letting the reality of her situation sink in. Perhaps this was the worst thing. Pushing her feelings so far down they calcified, became an anchor. And now, with no place to be, no one to see, she had suddenly found herself unable to move. And just what is that reality she'd been avoiding, the one keeping her in bed this whole week in New York City? As winter turns to spring outside her window, only this, the man she loves is going to marry someone else. She knew this when she met Ash, thought nothing of it. new co-worker at the ad agency, newly engaged. Ho hum. Lots of people their age got married. It was only later, when Ruby knew the pressure of his hand on her, he burned the weight of his lips on her shoulder, that this became the fact upon which her life turned. A wedding date was set, and her relationship to time changed. A wedding date was set, and her relationship to time changed. The future contained a marker, an end date, and somewhere along the way Ruby stopped making her own plans. She had an ever decreasing amount of time to change Ash's mind, to help him undo his impending mistake, and if that meant living exclusively in the present, being available to him whenever he asked, it would be worth it when he did change his mind instead of didn't. A little over 6 months from now, he will be married. Will be a married man. The colour scheme had been decided. The table were ordered. RSVPs were coming in, and Emma, his fiancée, has had two of her four dress fitted. She cried at the first one. Did you want to come? Ruby could never decide whether Ash's halting question was naive or cruel, delivered as if it was his chest against her naked back, his left hand resting against the curve of her stomach. Now alone in different bed across an ocean, she understands it was both, and something begins to stir Ruby Jones a small heat, as if someone is blowing on a fire deep inside her, willing it to burn. And just like the oxygen applied, the first explosion occurs, one big enough to propel her out of bed and into her running shoes, fully upright for the first time in 7 days, if you don't count the small circuit she had made of finding takeaway food and vodka, tramping back to her room. She feels wobbly, uncertain, but as she ties her laces in double knots, Ruby feels anger coursing through her like fuel. Ash inviting her to his wedding while she could still taste herself on his mouth was a deliberate severing, a way to turn their connection to string, to reach for her body while pushing away her thoughts, her feelings. Her heart was cold and calculated. It hadn't shocked her at the time because, in truth, that is how it always was with him. No wonder she'd gotten used to pushing her feelings way down. Outside it is pouring, but Ruby barely noticed the heavy fall. She heads east towards Central Park, splashing through dark, oily puddles, wiping rivulets of rain from her eyes. When her muscle starts to protest, she relishes the pain, pushing herself to go faster. She's going to outrun anything, she reasons. It will be that terrible numbness keeping her in bed all these days. Better to feel the ache of tight quads, taste the metal of her heart at work, than to let another day pass her by. Entering the park, feet crunching wet gravel, she heads for the nearest reservoir, the memory of a map in her mind, outlook of determination on her face. Upon reaching the lake, Ruby inadvertently starts running the wrong way, keeps to the left, runs clockwise as she would back home, and she is soon made aware of her mistake. Joggers coming forward towards her frown or sigh. A few shakes their head as they pass, and one or two make a show of having to step around her. She starts to say sorry and then changes her mind. Stubbornness prevents her from turning around, running the right way with the crowd and something else true. After years of making herself small, it is exhilarating to take up space for once, to force people out of her way. Ruby is still on the runner's high when she returns to her apartment building an hour later. Saturated through, she's so wet she has to stand on the street and twist the rain from her t-shirt before she can go inside. The guy at the front desk shoots her a rueful smile as she passes by him, but she grins and tells him she likes this kind of weather. It's so refreshing. And now the desk guy looks concerned, as if Ruby's sudden display of positivity has thrown him off. Yes, he's noticed the takeaways, vodkas, formed an opinion of his new lodger from his frequent appearances these past few days, and privately concluded she'll be gone within a week. We've got umbrellas to borrow, if you want, Ruby hears him say unsurely to her back as she steps into the small elevator at the end of the entrance hall before the doors close between them. When she steps under the shower a few minutes later, Ruby remembers the alarmed look on the young man's face and starts to laugh. To be found odd in New York feels like a triumph, the opposite of disappearing. There under the hot shower or water, she closes her eyes and laughs so hard she cries, emotions mixing like wet paint, dripping from her skin. This will be the real beginning, she decides, a kind of baptism, from which she will emerge renewed. Getting out of the shower, towel wrapped tight round her tingling body, she pads to her small closet, finds her prettiest dress, Fingering the sock cotton of the skirt, she imagines herself flying through the streets of New York in the summer, leaving a bright, happy trail of colours behind her. There is a whole world outside these brick walls, and she's finally ready to crash her way through it. This is the thought she's turning over, smiling, when her phone buzzes from the nightstand. Turning from the closet, Ruby reaches for her phone, checks the glowing screen high. Images of pretty dresses of warm summer days in bright colour disappears. The anchor tugs and a second text message arrives. I wish you were still here. Ash. Ruby sits down hard on the bed, holds the phone away from her, brings it back to her chest. She sits a full 5 minutes like this. Before, hearts hammering, fingers trembling, she begins to craft a reply. You mustn't think she's the only one. I might be having a better time of it right now, but I too have moments where the past feels present, pulls me in. Here's the thing. You don't get off a plane or a bus and leave your older self behind. No amount of learning or sudden realization can wire you like that. Not entirely. Not the way those self-help books and daytime talk shows would have you think. I used to watch a lot of those with my best friend Tammy. The way I see it, damage gets packed in your suitcase. People stay in your skin. Some mornings I wake up with Mr. Jackson right there behind my eyelid, as if he crept into my bed in the night. Sometimes it happens yesterday. It is my mother who makes an appearance. The smell of powder and roses, that signature skin soft scent of hers, inexplicably filling the room. I don't like it when this happens. Like Ruby, my heart hammers and my fingers tremble. But unlike Ruby, I do not respond. I wait for the hammering to slow, the trembling to cease, and I stay facing forward. My mother can visit Mr. Jackson too if he wants. I just never let them stay too long. In the beginning, I disappeared on purpose, extricated myself from a life I didn't want, just like Ruby did. But unlike Ruby, I didn't tell anyone where I went, not even my best friend. I let Tammy think I had stayed right where she left me. I wanted to slip out of my old life unseen, and if certain people stayed on my skin, if they came along in my suitcase uninvited, at least they wouldn't be able to cause any fresh wounds. That felt like a start, like I would have time to heal from all the ways they had hurt me. I wanted to start over, I wanted to disappear, but that's not the same as being forgotten, to be clear. I never ever wanted that.